say to economic conservatives that we cannot have small, limited government, low taxations, and a free economy when we have a country that is in moral disarray. John Adams said that our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate for the governing of any others. Edmund Burke said, our passions form our fetters, our constraints. And it is a society now that is spinning because of the toxic culture that has been created around us. It is spinning out of control. It is a freedom to do whatever you want to do that is being promoted in our country, not a responsible freedom, liberty properly defined. Unless we have a culture that is a culture based on truth, that is a culture based on families and responsibility, not the government taking responsibility, but personal responsibility and responsibilities of families, then government will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I've just talked about some of the short-term things that we can do and what we need to focus on. But the big problem, in my opinion, with the conservative movement, now I've recognized this after I left the Congress, but let me share with you how I see the problem facing us. This is the Conservative Political Action Conference. Wonderful. The problem I have is political. You see, politics is only one aspect of governing and living in this country. There's something more important than politics that actually is upstream from politics that has a great impact on this country, and that is culture. That is the popular culture. We have allowed the left to take over the popular culture. We sat back and we focused on what we said we don't want to focus on, government, that was going to be our avenue to reinstill conservative principles. Meanwhile, the left has taken over Hollywood and spews garbage into our television sets and movie theaters. Years ago, it took over the university and poisons the minds of the next generations of leaders in our country. The news media, need I say more? There's only one element of the news media that we have any kind of voice. Talk radio. Why does talk radio, conservative talk radio, succeed and liberal talk radio fail? Well, let me tell you why. It's the same reason that when you turn on the television in the United States Senate and you see a Democrat and a Republican arguing a point, that you'll see a Republican up with a chart that has numbers and graphs and pie charts and things like that, and you'll look at the Democratic side and there'll be pictures of people sleeping on grace. It's because talk radio works because conservatism engages the mind. Thoughtful liberals listen to talk radio. Why? Because it stimulates the mind. It's rational. It's reason. It's truth. It makes sense. Why does Air America fail? Because it's a bunch of emotional blather. Here's the point. Hollywood is emotional blather. We cannot step back and not engage the heart. Conservatives, we love to engage the mind. We have an obligation for the future of our country to engage the heart. 23 is, for all of you who are out there across America, you do a great job and you work hard to try to protect your families from the toxins that are around in the culture. You need to engage the culture. You need to go out. You need to get your kids to be screenwriters and actors. You need to get them to produce movies. You need to get them to make plays. You need to get them to produce art. You need to get them to tell stories to America that reach their heart. What's left of conservatism in the popular culture are two things, two instruments to instill conservatism. It's the reason you're all here today. The two major elements left in society are, number one, the family, and number two, the church. That is why the left is trying to destroy both. They don't like competition. They are trying to destroy the churches. And look at what Obama did just last week. He put out a budget that does what? Reduces the deductions for charitable organizations.
Yeah.
So we're going to take that money that goes to your church and we're going to give it to somebody else, another church. Yeah, see, what I believe is the left doesn't want to separate church from state. The left wants to replace the church with the state. And by the way, they think they found themselves a good savior. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. This is what we're facing, folks. It is a somber time. But we here in America have the tools to be able to change those tides back. We need to protect our families. We need to fight the popular culture. We need to believe in the three-legged stool. And we need to pray. Newton said, I've heard this many times, importantly said, I've been driven many times to my knees by the overwhelming conviction that I have nowhere else to go. My own wisdom and that of all about me seemed insufficient for the day. This is a heady time, an incredibly heady time in our country's history. And you need to be faithful to what God has given us, this great gift of America. And let me assure you, just like when I stood on the floor of the Senate, as Tim Gagline said, and I screamed, it's a baby, it's a baby. And that baby cried. You have to understand, there are no children allowed in the Senate gallery. You have to be 7 years of age to be in the Senate gallery. And yet, a baby cried in the Senate. If you are faithful, God will be faithful.